Hello there. My name is Kate Ogden. I teach art history at Stockton University. And a few years ago, I did research on the artist George Washington Conarroe, a 19th century portrait painter. As a result, I've been asked to talk a little bit about the 4 Conarroe paintings that are currently on loan at Kramer Hall in Hammonton. Kramer Hall hosts the Noyes Museum of Art of Stockton University. This is a portrait of George Washington Conarroe that he painted himself, and it's a self-portrait. We don't have a date for this. We don't know exactly when it was painted. Conarroe was born near Newcastle, Delaware, but his mother was from Salem, New Jersey. His father was from Philadelphia and the Burlington area of New Jersey. After his birth, when he was a couple years old, his parents moved back to Salem, probably to be near his mother's family, and he grew up in Salem, New Jersey. He moved to Philadelphia for his artistic career, however, and lived there until he died in 1882. This is, we think, the first of his portraits of the West family. He painted this in 1829 when he was invited to the West family's plantation. They called their farm Catawba Plantation. It was about 4 miles south of Mays Landing, New Jersey. This is one of the 4 paintings in Kramer Hall right now. I would point out that he has, by 1829, achieved a fair facility with the art of painting portraits. The hand that holds a feather quill pen indicates that he's an educated man and can read and write, as of course do his clothes. The column in the back right indicates that his family has some pretensions to culture, or maybe not pretensions, that they may have a classical education, that they're aware of the culture of the old world. This is a painting of George Spencer West's youngest sibling. He was the oldest boy. This is Mariah West, and she was probably painted around the same time. The paintings have a number of similarities. They look like they're from the same period in Kinnaras' work. And I would point out in Mariah's portrait that she's playing piano and rests her left hand on a book of music. This is the only time that I know of that Conarroe painted someone playing a musical instrument. She's also shown as a beautiful young woman. She was probably in her mid to late teens at this time. And the window in the background may be artistic license on the part of the artist. I'm not sure that that sort of a window would really have occurred in 19th century southern New Jersey. Here are Mariah and her brother George, and the paintings are about the same size. They're framed in a similar way, although I realize I'm not showing the frames here. They look very much as if they were painted around the same time. In 1829, the West family had a major disaster occur. It may have been tuberculosis, we're not sure, but both parents, George West and his wife, Amy English West, died. George Spencer West, who you just saw, died in 1829, the oldest son. And a younger brother named James also died in 1829 during this disease. The remaining 3 siblings all married in 1830 and 1831. So with their inheritance in hand, they were able to move forward with any sort of planned marriage that had loomed on the horizon for them. Charlotte, the oldest, married in 1831, and she married the artist, George Washington Conarroe. Going down the list, Joseph married a woman named Huldah, and the youngest sibling, Mariah, married Daniel Estell, definitely a name from South Jersey. His father, John Estell, had mills. He had a lot of property in southern New Jersey, and he was involved in shipping. This is a portrait of Huldah Stewart West, the wife of the one surviving West brother. I only have a black and white photograph of this. It would be a color painting, but I don't have a color photograph of it. It was painted within a few years of their marriage and shows the wife and the son. And I don't have, I'm sorry to say, a portrait of the father, Joseph E. West. Here is George Washington Kinnaras' self-portrait again, with a portrait that he painted of his wife, Charlotte West Conarroe, and two of their children. It's a charming portrait of a mother and her two oldest children. They had about 8 children, but only 3 lived to adulthood, as was fairly typical in those days. That little boy in the foreground, it is a boy, is wearing a riding hat. That explains why he's got such a large, strange black hat on his head. Here is Mariah West again on the right, and her husband. They married in 1831. This is Daniel Estelle, one of the heirs to the Estelle properties and businesses in Stevens Creek, which was later renamed Estelleville. This is one of Conarroe's best portraits of these early years. This is probably a little bit later, not 1830-31, but it's a very dashing, romantic image of Daniel Estelle. His hair is a little disheveled, which is considered a romantic era trait, sort of Byronic, if you think of the poet Byron of England. It's beautifully handled. The coat, the white collar, the tie, the pin at his shirt front, all of this is handled in a much more beautiful way than the earlier portraits. Here is a map of New Jersey that includes Mays Landing near the top. The B under that indicates approximately where the West family home was, and the A across the river is where Stevens Creek was or is, now named Estelleville. So when Mariah West married Daniel Estelle, they were literally neighbors, although neighbors on opposite sides of the river. Sadly, Mariah West died within 3 years of their wedding, and Daniel Estelle married again, but he married again considerably later. He married in 1849, and this is a painting on the right of his second wife. This is actually the 4th of the 4 Conarroe portraits currently at Kramer Hall. This is Rebecca Smith Estelle. And here's the way they look in the gallery now. The 2 Wests on the left, Mariah and George, and the 2 Estelles on the right, Rebecca and Daniel. This has been an online gallery visit today, and I thank you for visiting.